Good morning or afternoon, or whenever you're viewing this video. I just wanted to take a few minutes to walk you through some of our curricular documents that are in Schoology, since you now know how to get to them. You will see this is a first grade example, and elementary is laid out all the same. So once you are actually in your group, you'll notice here I'm in the first grade group, and says it here as well. And then I'm under resources for first grade, and then I've selected English Language Arts. So I'm under that folder. You will notice the layout is first goes to the TRS Grade 1 ELAR components. When you click this link, it will actually take you to the TEKS, or TEKS is really the pronunciation, but resource system link, which you will need to log into. So it typically takes your RISD email, and I think the default password in years past has been RISD lowercase, and then you can go in and change your password. So when you go in there, though, this is where you will find the TEKS clarification document. This is where you'll find the IFD, which is at the bottom of the component. It's where you'll see the YAG. It's where you'll see all kinds of resources to help you more deeply understand the standards, and also have resources to help you then teach the standards and assess the standards. So it's a great link that you can spend a lot of time there and just delving into the components of TRS, since that is our curriculum. The next folder is actually our Lead Forward folder, and it has some resources in it. We have actually pulled out the field guides for you, and they're super helpful, and the snapshots for you as well. And other Lead Forward resources are linked. And the snapshots, we're really focusing in on that reading snapshot, since our new standards now definitely put our comprehension skills in a continuum of progression of ways to know before we get to the ways to show. So I encourage you to take a few minutes to delve into that and look at the snapshot. Then we have right here our curriculum map that actually takes you to, I'll go ahead and show you this one. It's a colored map where it takes you to each of the subject areas, and it defaults to ELAR because it starts with an E. And it takes you to ELAR, and then science, and then math and social studies and Spanish language arts. So if you'll see here, it's basically kind of a year at a glance, and the units are linked to TRS. It will take you to the components that I just mentioned for that unit, and it gives you this range of days that I'll talk about in just a minute. Back to the other pieces in Schoology. Underneath that, you will see our pacing guide. This is a friendly guide to help you really when you're planning. Again, this is helpful when you're looking at this calendar view, and you can see what holidays are coming, or early release days, or staff development days as you're planning out your learning, and when you're assessing your learning, and kind of that backwards design. So if you'll notice here, we have the units, and they're color-coded. Again, that will take you to the TEKS resource system. But we've also identified and showed you in this unit the most essential standards. We have a lot of language arts standards. They are integrated between listening, speaking, reading, writing, and thinking. However, what we have really worked this summer to do is to pull out what are the essential standards of that unit. So when you're having to make those instructional decisions of what to focus more on, or if time gets cut, or if you have longer time, you'll know that this is what you're really trying to get them to master within this unit, and you can make those choices. So that's where the range of days comes in. The TEKS resource system suggests 15 days for this unit. We have put 9 to 15 days. Not that you have to hurry, but because if you're really focused on those essential standards, and that's really driving the unit and the learning, then it could be finished in less than the 15 days, and that would allow you a little time to actually go deeper with some students, or to extend for some students, and it gives you a little bit of flexibility. So that's why the range of days is there. And that happens, as you can see, the color-coded units for each one with the essential standards identified. And then the actual pure flex days is a bright purple if there is actually, like, here's a day that's just an extra day for you. So that's the actual pacing guide for elementary. It looks like that. Then you'll notice underneath there, we have reading and writing workshop resources. That's because we do have the workshop approach, which is a responsive teaching model, where the teacher is gradually releasing and coaching students into reading, writing, listening, speaking, and thinking. So it is definitely something that if you're not familiar with, it is more students doing than teacher doing. So we start with the I do, the teacher with a read aloud, and then we have a shared time. Then we move into the independent practice in reading, and we do that for phonics, and we do that for writing. So if you're not as familiar, please go into this folder. There's a ton of resources about conferring, about, let me just point out some of them, actually learning progressions in writing, procedures to get put in place at the beginning of the year, especially if we go to remote learning. There's videos about reading and writing at different grade levels, bands of complexity, a guiding reading template, so much information for you. So for the younger grades, like first grade, and even all the way up, you would be pulling your small groups during that independent reading practice when the students are applying the actual learning objective from the mini lesson. So that is a wealth of resources for you. So I'm going to go back to our actual document and then wrap up with, then we get into our units. So when you actually look into Unit 1 and any unit, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the IEFD linked for that unit. Again, you might have to log into TRS if you're not already logged in. Then you're going to see this unit. Actually, this is the pacing tool for that unit, as opposed to the pacing guide for the year that I showed you. This is a tool for the unit, and then a unit preview video. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is actually, this is the order, is actually go to your IFD first. So when you go to the TEKS resource system, go ahead and do that. If you're not logged in, you have to log in. I was already logged in. So it took me straight to the IFD for this unit. So you can see there's things that you need to know about prior to the unit, during the unit, after the unit, and some notes to consider. And then it gives you the big idea first for each performance assessment. So the overarching understandings, then it breaks it down to the unit understandings and questions, the overarching concepts and unit concepts, and how those will be measured in the unit. So this is how, and that's performance assessment 1. Here's performance assessment 2. So our performance assessments will always be reading and writing, sometimes listening and speaking, and sometimes a combination. And then some of them are ongoing, like as they get into readers' notebooks and writers' notebooks, it'll be that kind of writing and that type of reading. And then others are more process-oriented, like writing a final piece or a final paper. But we do the performance assessments. So again, going back to instructional decisions, let's say you're squeezed for time, you might have to look at those essential standards, and you need to make sure that the common formative assessment that you're going to do with your team, really pull that from that performance assessment that is actually assessing those essential standards. That is going to be really crucial for you to measure learning. So going back to the Schoology layout, you will then see, that was the IFD. Then go here. I'm actually going to move the order for you, but then if you'll go here, this is a unit preview slideshow with a video. Click on the video. I would watch the video, and then you can in the video, the slideshow will be referenced, so you can have that alongside. But it really walks you through the details of how to use the curriculum documents to plan for grade level learning and mastery of the standards within that responsive teaching model. And great care has been taken to really use the resources available at your fingertips to connect it to when it makes sense to use. And it's wonderfully laid out for you. So this would be your next step. Look at the IFD, watch the unit preview video, and then finally go to the actual document that lays out this unit. We've pulled from the IFD, we've pulled from other sources. So you'll see it's laid out by reading, writing, phonics, and it literally goes in to the performance assessments. And notice a reminder, it says a thorough study of the IFD is necessary. So the way we see this is you study the IFD, you watch the unit preview, and then you as a PLC team, it's great to then delve into this document together after viewing the video and after studying the IFD. Again, you'll notice there's a lot of standards, but once you start getting familiar, you'll see how they integrate and it's not as overwhelming. And then you'll also notice in here that if you click on this button, it gives you all the performance assessments for the unit on one page. And then you'll notice here within the reading, writing, and phonics, it actually gives you the performance assessment and where we see that it might fit in the 15-day piece according to the pacing of the curriculum. So those tools are also super helpful. And in K123, we integrate social studies. So we always have our social studies big ideas over here. And so that you can consider that as you are teaching your language arts. Okay, that's it for a little rundown on the curricular documents for elementary. I'm excited that you're going to maybe get a chance today in your new teacher orientation to start jumping in and delving in.